Welcome to the Aging Well podcast. I'm Jeff Armstrong here with Corbin Bruton. In this and the episodes that follow, we will share candid discussions on aging and hear from the experts. We are here to inform and encourage as we experience, aging. Our guest in this episode is Craig Goldberg. Craig is a relaxation expert and technologist on the quest to help humanity achieve a deeper sense of inner calmness using sound and vibration technology. He is a Vibro-Acoustic Therapy Practitioner, and his work is backed by 40-plus years of research showing the many benefits of this type of therapy based on technical acoustics and vibration technology. He is also a patented inventor, constantly exploring new ways to use sound and vibration to help people reduce stress and anxiety, heal, and transform their lives for the better. Craig is passionate about his work and truly believes in its ability to provide a path toward a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Stay tuned as we discuss mindfulness and relaxation for aging well. Craig, welcome to the Aging Well podcast. Why don't we begin by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Super grateful. That's a pretty broad question. So I don't know. I was born and raised on Long Island. I got a great family. Dix Hills, Melville, kind of right smack in the middle. Actually, I was born in Syosset. I was born in New Hyde Park, Queens, and then moved out to the island, to the suburbs.
I lived in Elmont for a while, and my wife is from Oyster Bay.
Amazing. It's all right in the neighborhood, and it's all right there for sure. And I come from a loving family. My parents actually just left Vegas on Sunday. And I think I lived a pretty normal life. I lived in Manhattan for 10 years. I lived in San Diego for 10 years. I lived in a motorhome full time for a couple of years, traveling, and now I'm in Vegas for the last 5. I think what's relative in that whole background is that I didn't realize how stressed and anxious I was and how debilitating that was to my overall health and wellness and my ability to age well until I got introduced to my Vibro-Acoustics company that I'm now president and co-founder of, and started to really understand the nervous system, its impact on our physiology, and quite how detrimental to our health it is to spend more time in fight or flight or that sympathetic nervous system response and the cascade of negativity that comes from that when you're looking at and framing it against aging well. And about 12 years ago, my wife got sick. Doc after doc, nobody could really tell us what was going on. You guys can read my bio on my website, but it was my wife getting sick and modern medicine not having answers that led us down the rabbit hole of figuring out how we can truly live a healthy life, how we can really manipulate the levers that help you to age well. I love this conversation. I love your podcast. I love the conversations that you have. And I love framing our work into the longevity, anti-aging, aging well conversation, because I believe it's foundational. There's a reason why I pour so much time and energy and love and passion into vibroacoustic therapy and sound therapy and its impact on aging well, because that's ultimately the goal. I'm living to be 150 years old, and that takes time and effort. It takes intention. It takes understanding how the human body interacts with the world around us and spending as much time as possible calm and relaxed in a society, as I look out the window to the rest of the world, that is this pressure cooker that just constantly feels like it's hard and difficult and challenging. And stress and anxiety, when you look at the top 10 reasons for all-cause mortality at the 2020 census, 6 of the top 10 have their foundation in stress and anxiety. You remove the stress and anxiety, and those reasons for all-cause mortality pretty much go away. And obviously, new reasons for the top 10 will move into place. But stress and anxiety is so foundational to aging well that I'm just honored to be here and really excited for this conversation.
Well, we'd love to have you here. And so let's kind of start with talking a little bit about what is mindfulness and why is that important to aging well?
All right. So also another broad question. So
You'll
look,
get a lot of those today.
I love it. I love it. That gives me the ability to go where I need to go. So meditation, very much like sleep, is a conscious perception of a slower brainwave state. Your brain doesn't know what sleep is. Your brain doesn't know what meditation is. Those are frameworks that we have applied to a specific brainwave state, alpha, theta, delta, up into gamma, outside of a beta brainwave. And this talk that I put together of the science of mindfulness really talks about what happens in the brain when we sit down to meditate. And it's very similar to what happens when we lay down to sleep, whether it's a nap or whether it's your nightly, evening longer sleep. The brainwave state, your brain doesn't know how not to think. Your brain doesn't know how to sleep. It doesn't turn off. It continues to go. I'm breathing right now. My heart is beating right now. All of these things are happening, and they still happen while I'm sleeping because my brain is still active. Brain doesn't go to sleep. Like, I'm just shut down. I'm not hibernating. I mean, there's obviously different applications, but even a bear hibernating, the brain is still working. It's just in a slower state. And meditation is a form of rest. It's an opportunity for us to, I don't want to say manually, but when I sit down to meditate, I am asking my brain to drop down out of beta into alpha, down into theta, down into delta, these different brainwave states. And in these different brainwave states, your body is doing different things. It is maintaining itself. And to go back to my point before of that sympathetic, parasympathetic, right? Sympathetic nervous system response being associated with stress and anxiety, fight or flight, survival mode. Parasympathetic being associated with calm and relaxed. When your body is in fight or flight, it is in survival mode. It has a different priority of things that it wants to get accomplished because it is in survival mode. By contrast, when you're in a parasympathetic nervous system response or calm and relaxed, your brain and body has a different set of priorities that are more focused on maintenance, optimal human performance, optimal cognitive ability, and setting the stage for it to age well. So that stress and anxiety, in my opinion, we need to do everything we can to remove the stress and anxiety. And by the way, there are 9 other things that I believe are part of good pillars for optimal health and aging well. Meditation is just one of them. And I don't believe it's the most important either. I think sleep is the most important thing, which is a form of meditation and is a form of slowing down the brain so that it can do the things it needs to do to maintain itself ever so magically and beautifully.
Well, sleep is one of our pillars of importance for aging well, along with exercise, diet, and maintaining healthy body composition, not smoking, and social connectedness and everything. But why are people so stressed these days, and how does this impact our life expectancy? And I know you're going to say, again, a broad question.
No, but look, it's a great question. It's different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, your life is your life. Somebody told me a long time ago, if we were to all take our problems and threw them in a pile and then decided what we wanted to take back, we would take back our problems because at least I know them and I'm familiar with them. Trauma, big T or little t, is your trauma, and it is exceptionally unique to your avatar, to your experience, to your human experience. When I look out at the world, I'll give you a great example of just the last week of my life personally. Okay. I went camping. I went festival camping in an RV, actually 2 RVs, that one that I rent out and one that I use for my family. I don't know if you're familiar with RVing. Those things are just, they're money pits and there's always stuff going wrong. And right. So this life in this society that we've co-created is complex and it's hard. I don't think there is an easy life. Maybe we graduate and maybe we rise to an easy life existence. I don't know, but I would say even the billionaires and enlightened beings that we have still have some form of stress in their life because that's the human condition. It's the human mind. It's the ego. And just being a law-abiding citizen here in the United States, I have more things to do during the day than I have time to get them done. And that creates anxiety for me and stress for me. I have a loving wife, and that's a relationship that I need to put time and attention towards. I have a 4-year-old which is a relationship that is very now, very present. And when she's around, I'm focused utterly on what she has going on. I have a brand and a business that is expanding. I have a personal brand that I'm managing and building towards. I have In Harmony as a brand that I'm building and growing towards. All of these aspects of my life have to-dos and things that I want to get done to hit certain goals, or frankly, look, I'm very fortunate. I have 4 vehicles. I need to go to the DMV at 4 different times of the year to register those vehicles. And one needs smog here. And I have a diesel truck. There's only one diesel place in Vegas that does smogging for a diesel truck. All of these different things. I've got a stack of mail to open up, which by the way, comes every single day and is nonsense, but it takes 10, 15 minutes a day for me just to go through the spam physical mail that I receive, let alone the 10 inboxes that I have to manage, let alone the honey-do list of things that I have to do here at the house. So very quickly, you can see how that's when everything's going well. That's before I pick up a nail and get a flat tire. Or yesterday I drove back from Salt Lake City last night. I dropped one of my RVs off in Salt Lake City to get some warranty work done. And then I had a couple business meetings, and 7:30 at night, I'm getting on the road to drive back to Vegas. It's a 5.5-hour drive. I'm coming through the gorge and there's forest fires on the right side of the road, and no fire people, no firemen or agencies responding to it. So I called 911, and I actually thought 2 things went through my head. I'm so glad I got through the gorge before the fire department got here, because the road would have been shut down and I would have been forever delayed and not been able to go anywhere. I would have been sleeping in my truck last night. And the second thing I thought of is I have a jug of water I should pull over and start putting out these fires. But then my brain starts to go, well, what if the police show up and they think I'm the one who started it? And now I have to explain myself of why I'm putting the fire out, even though I'm just being a good citizen, trying to do the right. So all these things are going through my brain. And that's just one happenstance in the last 24 hours that created some stress and anxiety for me. And I didn't stop. I called 911. They said, are you calling about the fire? I said, yes. They said, great. Somebody's on the way. I said, okay, cool. The world is on it. The universe is on it. This is not my place to stop and be the hero, right? Had there been a car or a person there, it would have totally changed that decision-making tree, but it was just a forest fire. It was not big. It was, anyway. Life is complex for all of us, whatever your level of complexity it is. Even if you're sitting on the couch all day and deciding what to eat for lunch, there's still a decision tree that needs to go through, and there's still some stress that could be associated with that. So I think stress and anxiety is very individualized and very different. What I find to be stressful, others think is a walk in the park, and vice versa. But there's a lot of complexity to this world and society that we have co-created and continue to co-create. And I think that is at the core of a first-person individualized view of the complexities of this world and this earthwalk.
Yeah, we talk about modern world problems, and a lot of them we've created for ourselves.
I got a lot of first world problems, no doubt. And look, having a gratitude practice is foundational in appreciating the fact that, like, what I'm going through right now is I'm very grateful to have these opportunities to be going through what I'm going through. And when I do get into these situations that feel like they're impassable, that feel like they're so debilitating, that are creating stress and anxiety in my own mind, taking a deep breath, going back to breath work, which I'm sure is part of what you've talked about, and recognizing that this too shall pass. That this is a great thing for me to be dealing with, and what a great opportunity is for me to be problem solving the logistics of going through what I'm going through. And then of course, collaborating and with all the different relationships, like my wife and my daughter and their schedules and what they have going on. And
yeah, I'm on a crusade to change the spelling of gratitude to have 2 T's. So it's an attitude of gratitude.
I think that's fantastic.
That's how I always spell it.
Tony Robbins says, trade your expectation for appreciation. Stuck with
good advice. Yeah,
absolutely.
So you mentioned, kind of mindfulness and anxiety are linked to the autonomic nervous system, and we can somewhat see this by monitoring our heart rate throughout the day, because heart rate is controlled by the parasympathetic. Now, what kind of watch are you wearing there?
This is the Apple Watch, right?
Oh, the Apple.
So, which does an okay
job. Garmin on.
Yep. And then I got a Whoop on my other wrist. I'm a data hound. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, we had Torkin Farrell on an episode earlier this year, and he kind of turned me on to monitoring my sleep and, just my stress throughout the day. And so now I'm on this daily vigil of, what was my sleep score last night? How many, minutes, or sadly it's been minutes instead of hours of deep sleep or REM sleep I'm getting. But really trying to monitor that a lot more, because I know that sleep is one of the biggest factors that I need to get a little bit better control over.
I was
And
literally just
so,
in my app for Whoop, and you can see when I'm awake, when I'm in light sleep, when I'm in deep sleep, the percentages. I do take issue with a lot of this, but comparing me to you in the Whoop app or whatever maintenance you're using, I don't agree with, because it's all algorithmic and averages. But
yeah.
comparing me to me, tonight versus last night versus the night before, is really powerful. And I've been geeking out. I just got this like 2-3 weeks ago. I am geeking out on the data of like, and I know, right? At your core, I know when I got a good night's sleep or when I didn't. But what's really cool is the journaling aspect of it, of like, what did I do yesterday? What time did I wake up? Where did I sleep? Did my daughter wake up in the middle of the night? Did I sleep in my own bed or her bed? Like, what supplements did I take? Did I get my meditation in? Did I get my exercise in? What was my strain for that day versus my recovery for that day? It's pretty remarkable.
And it really starts to inform us as to kind of lifestyle changes that we can make to kind of tweak some of these things and get into a more mindful state.
Absolutely.
So, explain a little bit more to our listeners how the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems and their responses are tied to our stress response, and really how we can control them.
So what's really interesting is that the body and brain and nervous system only has one response to stress. And it doesn't matter what kind of stress that is. Physiological stress, physical stress, somebody threatening your life or your body, emotional stress, mental stress, relational stress. I can't believe my sister's doing that thing again. I can't believe my mom won't do this. Financial stress, which is obviously a big one. Nutritional stress, and that comes in two forms: eating inflammatory foods, as well as not not sticking to a diet. Like the emotional, mental, nutritional conversation we're all having. Like, I know I shouldn't be eating this pizza, but it tastes so good. Right. And at my core, I'm like, this is not what I should be doing and putting in my body. But then I'm like, but it tastes good and I want to have a good time, and just managing that mental, nutritional stress. Right. So the body only has one response to stress, and that is the sympathetic nervous system response. The brain kicks up cortisol, kicks up adrenaline. That response has a cascade behind it that is really detrimental to our health. And it's a little different for everybody, but generally speaking, when you go into that fight or flight response, your body promotes, to my point before, it promotes life-saving processes in the body and turns off maintenance tasks in the body. So it decreases your digestion. It decreases your rational thinking. It decreases your immune response. It decreases your reproductive organs, because you're in fight or flight. You're in survival mode. And the body and the brain say, look, if this body and this vessel does not survive whatever it is that I'm going through, I'm not going to be able to run the tasks to maintain myself. So it prioritizes those over maintaining yourself. That includes killing off dead cells. It includes cleansing and detoxification processes. It includes digestion. If you're stressed and anxious, it doesn't matter how clean, how organic, how well ecologically or sustainably sourced your food source is, or how high quality or clean your supplement is. It doesn't matter, because if you're stressed and anxious, your digestion is turned off. It's just passing right through you. What we don't absorb, we eliminate. What we don't assimilate, we eliminate. So if you're stressed and anxious, it really is this foundational need. And we need to figure out what it is that's causing that stress. And in most scenarios, it's very clear, right? Rent is due at the end of the month and I'm short on cash. Financial stress. Cool. I got the fix. I need to work my tail off and I got to figure out ways to make some extra cash. I'm not in alignment with my significant other, and that feels out of place. Great. You got to put some attention towards your significant other. Make sure they feel special. Make sure they feel loved. Make sure you're repairing whatever it is that you messed up. And I messed up big in the last couple of weeks, so I can appreciate that. These are all very relative and very real. Not rent. My rent's covered. But again, you need to figure out what it is that's causing that stress, and then you need to mitigate it. Foundationally, to your point before, I know if I don't get a good night's sleep the night before, I went to bed at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., and I woke up at 7. That's about an hour and a half shy of my optimal sleep for the night. And I know I'm on point today, and I'm grateful to be here, and I've got, this to focus my attention on, which is great. But if I'm not getting foundational sleep, I know I'm going to have the propensity and the potential to have a more stressful following day. So there are things we can do that prevent us from having that optimal performance the following day. Getting out and grounding, getting my feet on the grass outside is really important. Getting sunshine on my skin in the morning, wearing my blue blocker glasses during the day when I've got all these lights and screens on me over the course of the day. There are a lot of different, getting meditation, getting a hug and skin on skin contact with my daughter and my wife is really important and foundational. Finding that meditative practice, either getting on our technology or simply closing my eyes and giving myself that time to be focused and relaxed. Downtime is as important as uptime. Going back to breath work, hot and cold therapy, exercise, zone 2 cardio. There are a lot of different things that we can do to mitigate that. And it's different for everybody. Some people are like, I need 2 hours in the gym every day. That's my time and I need it. And I know I'm not the same person when I don't have that. The equivalent of like waking up on the right side of the bed versus waking up on the left side of the bed. So I think there are a lot of different things that we can do. For me, sound and vibration is so foundational to that reset process. It helps me to turn off the stimuli of this world. We say on our website, say goodbye to a distracted mind, say hello to a relaxed existence. And that's because we're using sound and vibration intentionally to reach deeper meditative states, or to even reach a meditative state in the first place, to give the body that rest and relaxation that it needs to power through and charge forward. And I'll give you one last example that I know is very relative to everybody. When you had a good night's sleep and the day before you got your exercise and you checked all the boxes, whatever those boxes are for your optimal performance, and you check those boxes and you wake up the following day feeling charged, amped, and ready to rock and roll. It's those days that you wake up like 2 minutes before your alarm goes off and you're just like, I feel well rested. It's time for me to get out of bed. And that day, there's really nothing the universe can throw your way that you can't handle. Construction on your route, closed roads, like whatever, you're just in flow and you're handling it one after another. And by contrast, we've all had those days where we didn't get to check all those boxes, where we don't wake up feeling recharged, where the alarm goes off and we hit the snooze. And from that moment forward, whatever the universe throws at me is just debilitating and feels like I'm proverbially getting kicked in the nuts all day long. And I just can't wait to go to bed so that I could recharge for the following day. Or I just want to time out. I just want to step away from life and be like, I need a reset. I need no more calls, no more stimuli. I just need a break. So it's different for everybody, but there are a series of things that we can do to help bring the body back into balance, to help us to recharge. And by the way, sometimes it's not just as simple as a good night's rest. Sometimes it's a retreat, which are huge now at this day. Like when I was a kid, nobody went on retreats. I don't remember my father and my grandfather being like, we have a retreat in Cancun. We're going on a retreat to Costa Rica. But the world around us is so stimulating that we actually need to pull ourselves out of it so that we could get that rest and that break from the constant barrage of stimuli that are being thrown our way. So I think there are a lot of tools. I chose sound and vibration as a business and as a movement, and something that I'm very passionate about because I believe it's so foundational to how the body operates. And it's so efficient at moving us from a sympathetic, stressed and anxious nervous system response to a parasympathetic, calm and relaxed nervous system response. And in the long run, that pays dividends.
And it's funny, you put that song in my head. I can't remember who the artist was, but that song, I'm Walking on Sunshine, suddenly popped into my head when you talked about waking up a couple minutes before the alarm and the construction doesn't, interfere with anything.
We've had those days, and we've seen other people have those days. Like I remember working in the corporate world and knowing that I had a rough night, or I'm a little hungover, or I'm tired, and somebody else was just whistling Dixies all around the office, and I'm like, fuck that guy. Like not really, but like that's the mentality. It's like, well, what's your secret? And that's what this podcast is really all about. It's like, what is the secret? And I wish there was one single thing. Reality is all of our bodies are infinitely different, even though we are infinitely the same. And And it's a little different because it's based on your avatar, your human experience that is creating not just external stimuli, but also what's happening in between your two ears, which only you know that conversation, you being you and whoever's listening.
And so, of course, most of our listeners are aware of meditation, but how do sound and vibration play into your meditation practices? And really, what is the connection to mindfulness?
Totally. That's a fantastic question. It is foundational to everything. So, as we're talking about just how stimulating this world is around us, for a lot of people, myself included. So specifically with our technology, and there's many physiological benefits and there's many other benefits besides just reaching a meditative state. But when it comes to the meditation conversation, we serve two parties. The first is like me, folks that couldn't meditate. I've been running this business, building this business for the last 7.5 years. November is actually going to be 8 years, which we're fast approaching. 9 years ago, if you were like, Craig, you really look stressed and anxious. And, I think it'd be a really good idea if you sat down and just meditated. I would have laughed at you or I wouldn't have. And I would have just sat there the entire time thinking this isn't working. Nothing's happening. I'm just thinking about my to-do list. But you know what? I respect Jeff. This is the inner monologue. I'm just going to sit here and look from the outside like I'm meditating, but really on the inside, my world is thinking about all the things I'm not doing, all the things I should be doing. And really, I'm just thinking about how long I need to sit here to satisfy Jeff. And for that person, which again was me, when you sit down on our meditation cushion or you lay down on our sound lounge and the sound and the music and the harmonization of what you're feeling is harmonized with what you're hearing, there's a magic that happens that helps to disengage that thought process. And it's involuntary. So even if that mind is never stopping and turning and turning and turning, when you sit down and 2 of your 5 senses is harmonized, because when the magic of our technology is that you are sitting on a meditation cushion, feeling vibrations, those vibrations are harmonized. It's the same frequencies that you are hearing with your ears. It's broader in your ears. You're hearing the entire frequency range in your ears. You are feeling a small subset, 20 hertz to 200 hertz are coming through the cushion at your root and vibrating your entire body. That harmonization, if you think about how you as a human perceive the world around you, it's through the 5 senses: smell, touch, taste, sound, and taste. And when you are feeling and sitting on our technology, every mechanoreceptor from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers to the top of your head are sending the same vibratory signals to the brain as the cochlea and the auditory nerve are. That means hearing and touch is synchronized and harmonized. And that's 2/5 of how your brain perceives the world around it. And that has a very profound impact on our physiology. Mainly, it turns off the monkey mind. It turns off the to-do list, and it allows you to drift into this alpha brainwave state and then ultimately down into delta, theta, and then delta, and up into gamma. And that's where the brain can help. Like, there are people that I talk to that can't fall asleep at night. If you are looking at a stimuli, let's say it's my daughter, let's say great stimuli, actually. Okay. But let's say you read an email before you go to bed from a boss you don't like and a job you can't stand. And it elicits that sympathetic nervous system response, that fight or flight response at any level. You just increase cortisol and adrenaline flowing through your bones and your blood. You're not falling asleep. Sound and vibration can help to disengage that faster than you would without sound and vibration. And it can help you drift into that calm and relaxed state. And you will stay there, even given the same stimuli. 18 hours is what the science says. So with regular vibroacoustic sessions, 22 minutes is the sweet spot. So with regular 22-minute vibroacoustic sessions, once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, by the way, subset. So we've done this with EEG testing, echoencephalograph testing, actually testing the brain waves that are happening in the brain, and ECG, testing what's happening in the heart rate variability, all of the metrics and biometrics that you're using, we use as well to test the significance and the efficiency and the efficacy of our technology. I can take somebody that's not good at meditating or can't meditate, and I can drop them into a meditative state in a matter of minutes. So we work really well with that party. The second party that we work with in the meditation world is somebody who says, hey, I've got a 20-minute a day meditation practice for the last 20 years. And they get on our technology and they are guided to the depth of their potential, the deepest meditative state even faster, because like a needle in a record, that rut is already so well defined. That neural pathway is already so well defined. And to go back to the example of you teaching me how to meditate and me sitting 9 years ago, just thinking about, right? If on the inside, the monkey mind is going, I'm just going to do this to appease Jeff, and I'll sit here for 10, 15 minutes and this will all be over and then I can get back to my job. On the outside, I look calm and relaxed. On the outside, I might be taking deep breaths. I might be breathing normally. The micro expressions and the facial expressions might look like I'm in a meditative state. How do you know if I'm meditating right? The reality is we don't. Now, we can use biometrics and we can use things to test that, but just the visual, you don't. Likewise, when we're learning how to meditate, that's why they call it a meditation practice, like playing golf, practicing golf, or medicine, I'm practicing medicine. It's because it's an ongoing evolution of getting better and better and better. And sound and vibration guides the mind, body, and spirit into that alpha, theta, and delta, and gamma brainwave state. And if you've already practiced it, I get this text message a lot to people that receive, like a lot of people gift our meditation cushion to meditators because it's not necessarily something that they've been looking for because they already have a meditative practice, but somebody who has a regular meditative practice, aunt, uncle, sister, significant other is like, oh my God, my husband's going to love this. They would never buy it for themselves. This is great. And they get it and they do their first session. And then inevitably I get a text message. It's like, hey man, I had no idea how deep I could actually go. Like this is a powerful tool. You don't need it to meditate. You're not developing a crutch where you need it. You are instead teaching the brain how to drop out of beta into alpha, into theta, down into delta. And you're guiding it there because sound and vibration guides us there. It takes us there. And again, it's involuntary. So we serve in the meditation world, we serve these two worlds really, really well to either teach you how to meditate or to show you how deep of a meditative state you can actually reach. And we take you there.
So that kind of addresses my next question a little bit. I was going to ask, is this essential to reach a state of mindfulness? And it sounds like it's not essential, but to get to that deeper state of mindfulness, it's almost an absolute necessity. How do you get somebody to be able to transition toward that when, maybe, the price of the cushion or the beds and chairs and things are out of their reach? Are there alternatives for people that can help them move toward that state of mindfulness, until they can kind of get the chair or the cushion?
So as I'm sure you're already familiar with, we do quite a bit of social media marketing. We do paid ads, we do organic posts, we create a ton of video content. All of it is focused very much so on being educational, informative. And even at the end, it's not a buy now option that I offer. It's take a closer look to what we're doing here at In Harmony. I think you'd be really happy that you did. It's an invitation and there's no expectation. Here's something that's interesting that I talk about a lot, but a lot of people don't know, especially if you're meeting us for the first time. I'm the human being on the other side of the comments on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I am the human being on the other side of the DMs. That might change soon because it's scaling away from me and I just can't keep up and that bothers me a lot. So we're going to figure out ways that we can scale my voice specifically, but I'm the guy on the other side of the comments. And when I put up an ad for our meditation cushion, I can't even tell you how many times somebody comments like, you don't need a $700 meditation cushion to meditate. And my reply, probably, I would think quite surprisingly, is you're 100% correct. You don't. My business partner's rolling right now as he's hearing me say this. But the reality is, all you need to do is go outside, quiet your mind, find silence and peace in the noise, and you're meditating. Like me 9 years ago, that was not possible, regardless of how much I tried. I tried mantras. I tried staring at a candle. I tried guided meditations. Granted, Insight Timer and Calm and all of these different apps didn't exist in the world that I was in back then. And I'm grateful to be a part of that world. But no, you don't need our technology in order to do it. It is, to your point, a phenomenal upgrade. I do believe it's required reading if you're going to do that, to at least try it. And you can go to a center, go to our website, iaminharmony.com. Underneath the shop tab is the In Harmony locator. Go get a free demo of our technology and experience it at no charge. Okay, that's That's the easy way that you can gain access to the technology to see if it brings benefit. And you can probably get a subscription or a package or something with that provider in your area for you to do it. Equipment aside, there's two main parts of our business. There's the relaxation furniture that we produce, the meditation cushion, the sound lounge 2, the practitioner 2, the massage table. There's that business, the hardware business. And then there's the software side of our business, which is the In Harmony Music Meditations app and Spotify and YouTube. As of right now, everybody that's listening can go to youtube.com. They can search In Harmony Interactive. They will find our profile. Please subscribe. Hit the notification button. And then scroll down the page and you will find a live that I do every week talking about what's happening around the company. But more importantly and more relative, you will find extended music meditations. These are 11-hour music meditations that you can play through your home stereo system, a Bluetooth speaker, or just the speaker on whatever device you're watching this on, whether it's a computer, a phone, a tablet, it doesn't matter. I'm actually playing these frequencies right now through my home stereo system in every room in my house. There is the frequency right now. I am playing Face ID. I am playing Empower Your Inner Fire Extended Music Meditation, 320 Hertz Solar Plexus. And this is what's streaming through. And it's 11 hours. You can see that play marker. I just turned it on about a half hour ago or an hour ago. And that's playing through every room in my house. And it brings this calmness to what we're doing. And that's totally free. I do recommend a Google subscription so you don't have to listen to their ads.
Yeah, I would think the ads would kind of disrupt that zen that you might be feeling, right? Especially Spotify ads. I mean, if anything causes me stress, like when I'm working out, it's the stupid ads because they seem to be able to find the ads that are the things that I would least likely want and get the most annoyed by. And even though I hit that button, I don't like this ad, it comes up more. And it's like, they're trying to get me to go free.
Look, if you're going to give anybody a subscription, don't give one of those behemoths a subscription. Subscribe to my app in the App Store. In Harmony Music Meditations. I'd be grateful for that. Inside it, you'll find 182 music meditations. Each one of these tiles is a music meditation. With an $8 a month subscription, you get access to all of our new music meditations and everything that we're doing inside the app. But yeah, I get it. It does. It's just advertising. And look, apps are unbelievably expensive. I've never had one, but this one for the last 5 years. I can't even tell you how many dev hours go into just keeping the app working when a new update comes out from iOS or a new update comes out from Android. And then, of course, all the different variants of all the different phones and sizes. And, all of a sudden one day, iOS, people that are running iOS 15 will be like, it's not working on my phone, or Android Pixel device isn't working. So there's a lot that goes into maintaining these apps, and Spotify and YouTube, they're obviously making money off ads, and that's what's paying for it. Or you're contributing, $8, $9, $10, $15 a month to these apps to keep them going. And in our app, you're getting new music. We put in a new music meditation every week, at least, if not 2 or 3, to compile and continue building that library.
And this is something you don't necessarily have to have just in the background. You can have it on driving, while you're working out, stretching, maybe even to help you get to sleep.
Driving is a question mark for me. Like, I don't recommend to do it while you're driving unless you're very experienced and very familiar with what's going on, so you can stay cognitively aware of what's happening around you. But all of those other environments are great. Stretching. Look, we've got music meditations for sleep that are also 11 hours long, so you can play them overnight. I play them through not just my home stereo system, but I play it through a Bluetooth speaker. I travel everywhere with a Bluetooth speaker, just a little Marshall that I got at, it's a tiny little thing. It's like this big. I don't know. It was $50, $100, something like that at Best Buy. And everywhere I go, I have access to manage my own music and to manage my own frequency. This is my favorite tool of all. The noise cancellation on the AirPods. I'll tell you, one of my travel hacks is actually playing. I download, because I have a Google subscription. I download the 11-hour music meditation so that I don't need Wi-Fi. I play them through my AirPods, both the AirPods in both ears with transparency mode on. So I can still hear what's going on around me. I can still talk to people and interact with people, but in the background, I have these frequencies rolling. And there's nothing like moving through the airport with the chaos and the hecticness of TSA and everything else. And I just have this pleasurable, pleasant music playing in the background. It's really quite nice, and it's definitely a travel hack of mine for sure. But yeah, totally free, and you can do it right now, and you have access to it. As long as you're okay with commercials, it's free. And if not, you got a small subscription to somebody.
Awesome. And I think we'll have to check that out. So we have a question we ask of all our guests, and I know a big part of your answer is going to be, finding that mindfulness, the meditation, all the things you've been talking about. But what else are you doing personally to age well?
I love this question, by the way, and I've heard it on your podcast. There's a lot of different things that I do, actually. There's a red light that's sitting on me right now, and when I'm at my desk and I'm inside, red light is a big part. Infrared light is a big part. First thing I do after a good night's sleep, hopefully. I have a 4-year-old, by the way. I don't know what a good night's sleep is. Like, I'm looking at the Whoop data, and I'm like, there's no plug-in for my daughter woke up and wet the bed at 2:00 in the morning to interrupt my sleep. But it's just part of being a parent. So there's a lot of things that I do. Sleep is at the top of that list. Sleep is of utmost importance. After that, the first thing I do when I wake up is, as quickly as possible, I brush my teeth. I do all the things I need to do, but I'm outside with my feet in the grass and the sun on my skin. It's been shown over and over again that your circadian rhythm and setting your circadian rhythm in the morning helps you to get a great night's sleep that night. And then grounding obviously helps me to diffuse that energy with the earth. You're a big antenna. After all, antennas need to be grounded. So we need to be grounded. So it's the first thing that I do when I wake up. Then it's clean water. And it's very difficult to get clean water anywhere on the planet. Even if it's a natural spring, they're spraying so much shit in the air, and it's just really difficult. So we filter our water through the whole house, and then I have a reverse osmosis and a remineralizer, and then I spin it in a vortex. So there's a bunch of stuff that I do there. And the water that I consume, clean eating, which is very, very simple for me. If it came from the earth, eat more of it. If it comes from a box, eat less of it. And then obviously pasture raised. And if you're consuming meat, that sort of thing. I've done the plant-based thing. It works for me. I've done the meat and carnivore thing. It works for me also. There's a lot going on there. Meditation and mindfulness is obviously a big part of my day, which we've covered pretty much at length. Zone 2 cardio, as my Apple Watch tells me, getting the heart rate up, but I can still have a conversation. I do walking meetings quite often. Sunshine, sun exposure I talked about, skin-on-skin contact, hot therapy, getting in the sauna, or here in Vegas, just walking outside for a couple hours. Cold therapy. I'm a fan of cold therapy, but not every day, unless you have a specific condition that necessitates it. I think once a month, getting in cold water is a very healthy thing to do to keep the nervous system going, but every day I'm not a big fan of it. And then red light therapy or light therapy of some kind, sound therapy, stretching, physical activity, right? A lot of the things that you talk about in your main pillars are part of the things that I do every single day. Hanging out with friends and family, finding downtime, getting out into nature for me is something that's really important. But then also having my alone time is also really important. I got a reading of I forget which reading it was, but the person that was giving the reading basically told me that it's really good for me to walk through large crowds of people, like a salmon swimming upstream. So I find time and places to do that. And here in Las Vegas, it's actually quite easy. I go to Mandalay Bay when I know a big show at their arena is letting out, and I park when the show is letting out, and I walk from the parking garage to the entrance of the theater against the sea of people that are leaving the arena. And when I get to the other side, I feel amazing. It's this wild experience and I'm told that it just cleanses my aura. So I do some really weird things. I wear the blue blocking glasses. I've got hue lights in my house that turn red at sunset. I dance, I laugh. I like psychedelics. There's a laundry list. It goes even deeper than that. People walk into my house and they're pretty amazed at all the different things. I got the red dots that cover all of the LEDs, the blue, white, and green LEDs in my house. There's a big conscious effort towards longevity and living. That's before you even get into supplementation, which is an even longer list. I'm not really big into peptides yet, although I'm a fan. Stem cells, exosomes. There are so many different aspects to it that I think are really important, not to mention energetic healing, big fan of theta healing as a modality and reprogramming and downloading the subconscious mind. Yeah, there's a lot.
Sounds like you're on track to hitting that 100.
I hope so. Look, I'm not perfect. So here's the other aspect to this whole thing is that one of my favorite Sunday practices is going to Abel's Bagels with my daughter and eating a ton of gluten. Like, right? And I know gluten's not good for me, but now that I'm cleansing and detoxing, by the way, I cleanse once a quarter. I love to fast. I fast during the week for 24, 36, 48, or 72 hours every week. I intermittent fast. I mean, there's just so many different things that I do. And at the same time, if I don't do those things, if I don't check those boxes, I'm kind to myself. I'm not hard on myself. And I just say, cool, tomorrow's going to be a better day. We're going to get at it tomorrow. There's no present time like now to start, or maybe not. Maybe I'm sitting down in front of the television. I'm going to watch a movie that I know is not good for the brain. And I'm going to eat some popcorn, organic popcorn with butter, you know,
Organic butter.
organic
Grass-fed.
butter, grass fed. Yeah. You know, right. Or sometimes not. Like, there was a point in time where my wife got sick, as I said, about 12 years ago. And from that point forward, as these light bulbs and as we started learning more and more about the human condition and how the human body interacts with the world around us, we got really strict on what we consumed, specifically what we put in our mouth, what we put on our skin, and what we allow to be kept in the air around us. We carried a cooler with us everywhere we went. We shopped at the farmers markets. We talked to the farmers of where they were growing and how they were growing and what their practices were. Going to Whole Foods or Sprouts or Natural Grocers was a 2 or 3 hour endeavor because we were reading ingredients. We would literally sit on the floor of the aisle reading ingredients and Googling them to understand how they were sourced and where they came from and if we were going to put it in our body or not. So I have done the full gamut of, I know every single thing that goes in and on my body to I don't eating New York City street meat and not thinking twice about it in my younger years. Gosh, how many times I've eaten off of a cart and felt fine, but like it's not what you want to be consuming in general. But like, again, just not being mad at myself and just saying, hey, I'm going to enjoy this experience. It's part of my human experience. And tomorrow I'm going to make a better decision and be healthier and be better and be kinder and not being perfect, I think is really important, because that being perfect puts pressure and stress on the mental side. And that just kicks in that sympathetic nervous system response, which I know is worse than eating the bad thing.
Yeah. I've come to start to see health is a bit more of a J curve. You know, there's those things that we are not doing at all that are really bad for us. And then there's sometimes the more we try and overdo things, it's going to be even worse for us because it is putting more stress on us, more burden, you know, and, you know, maybe financially it's putting a greater stress. Oh, I have to eat organic. And so I have to spend this much more money and I can't do that. And so it just creates so much stress that we get away from what we're trying to do, which is reduce that stress.
Yeah, to your point, right? It's better to eat conventional food and not stress about it than it is to eat conventional food and stress about not eating organic food.
Right.
Or eating organic food and being stressed for other reasons.
Yeah,
because now you're putting all this money into the organic food and you're not digesting it anyway.
We need that balance.
Totally. Be kind to yourself. It's the number one thing that you can do. Like, get over it. You put more pressure on yourself. Whoever's listening, you, Jeff, me, we put more pressure on ourselves than the world ever will. Promise to you. We are our own biggest critics. And if we can relax on that a little bit, if we can be kind to ourselves, cut ourselves some slack and some grace, look, the reality is if you want to change, you're going to change. And there's nobody that's going to make you change. You're going to have to make the decision to do it yourself. And if today you didn't make the right decision, tomorrow you can.
I think those words, be kind to yourself, need to be out in front of us as much as possible on our computer screens, on the dash of our cars, anywhere that we, you know, on the ceiling above our bed, so that we can look at it constantly and say, okay, yeah, I got to let up on this guy.
My first tattoo.
There you go.
It's a really good one. It really is. This too shall pass is another one.
Yeah. I have one of my kind of mantras is be your best today, be better tomorrow. You know, and that's the most we can ask of ourselves. You know, if we've done our best today, it may not be the best that we could possibly do, but there's always tomorrow to do a little bit better, to do things as we.
There's so much alignment here, Jeff. All right. So I think everybody wants to feel better today than they did yesterday and better tomorrow than they did today. And the manner in which you do that is by making better decisions, by educating yourself, by knowing more, by learning from what you did that didn't serve you so well today or yesterday, so that you can make a different decision tomorrow. And I'll give you one more saying, which I absolutely love because I'm a procrastinator. And somebody told me this and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I'm going to commit that to memory. And that is, today is nothing more than yesterday's tomorrow.
There you go.
So as we put things off, and I'll do that tomorrow, it's like, today's nothing more than yesterday's tomorrow. So let's do it now.
Okay. I'm going to go off my script and ask you a question I've asked of a number of different people, and it's often asked of me. And I'm always curious to the answer I can get. And I'm usually pretty confident in what answer I can expect from somebody. But if you could go back in time and change one thing in your life, what would you change?
Really good question. I wish I learned the lessons that led me here sooner. So it's easy for us as humans to think of life as this linear, I'm born and then I pass. And I don't believe that that's what's happening. I believe that it's actually a series of present moments that stack up to here. And I have this first person perspective of what was and what is, which is, by the way, what creates stress, anxiety, and depression, which is wild to think about. But therefore, life is a series of learning lessons. And I know this from my own experience. I can't talk for anybody else, but I know when I don't learn a lesson, the universe gives me a much louder lesson to learn for the same topic. Like if I don't take something to heart and change something I'm doing because of a lesson that I needed to learn, whether it's business, personal, it doesn't matter. The universe comes back with a louder scream of what's best for me. And I can be pretty stubborn. I have a 4-year-old that's super stubborn, and like my wife and I know she's being stubborn, and both my wife and I can be pretty stubborn. So like we just manifested and created this little being that is stubborn by default. So we're seeing it reflected back to us regularly. So look, my big awakening was when my wife got sick. In a lot of ways, I wish she got sick a lot sooner so that I could learn the lessons that I learned sooner, so that I can have more time on this side of those decisions. And granted, she's in optimal health right now. But I wish some of that happened sooner. I have financial lessons and business lessons and pretty awful things that happen to me, but it's all relative. I wish some of those things happened sooner. I wish I had this awareness when I was like, I look at my daughter, who is absolutely our daughter. She was laying in bed last night and she's fighting off a little head cold, and my wife says to her, she's 4. Okay. My wife says to her, what do germs not like? And she goes, green drink and vitamins. And she goes, and what do germs like? And she goes, sugar. So you need to eat more vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, and you need to eat less sugar. And she goes, that's right. That's what I'm going to do today. She's 4. When I was 4 years old, I was eating frosted mini flakes and cinnamon toast crunch and a half a box of Entenmann's chocolate chip cookies with a glass of whole milk in one sitting. Like, so I just got chills as I thought about that. Like, to think about what my daughter is going to be when she's 45 years old, if she chooses to continue on this path, right? Because that's a big who knows. But like, I wish in particular to the health and wellness journey that I knew. Now, here's the cool part about that answer. I know how resilient the human body is. I know through HRV and different biometric testing that even though I'm 45 years of age chronologically, when I'm on point and I'm doing all the things, checking all those boxes for me, my biological age is 31. So I know my body is resilient. And so too, by the way, is your body as you're listening to this. And I know that even though I was a pack a day, you talked about not smoking, I smoke a pack a day of cigarettes. Okay. And they were so tasty and so good. And then one day I woke up and I was like, nope, I'm done. Cold turkey. It was over. I wish I learned some of those lessons a little sooner. Right. And at the same time, I know how resilient my body is, and I know that I can get it into tip top, so I can live to be 150. And I do have that potential. It's a really wild thing when you start to think about linear time. And even that question, which is if you can go back in time and change anything, it's like, I wish I could see my entire timeline. I think I wish I could see my entire timeline. I don't know that I want to know the future, but man, could I live if I knew, like, if you knew tomorrow was going to be your last day, I guarantee you wouldn't be on this podcast with me right now.
No, that's true.
And I think that's the truth for everybody, right? It's why when people close to us pass on, it brings this reflection period. Look, just because it's in the news right now, Trump almost died on Saturday. Love him or hate him, you have a different Trump today than you did 5 days ago, because he saw his life almost pass, and he's going to show up differently as a human being. And for those of us that hate Trump, or those of us that love Trump, I think it's really important that we recognize that the Trump we are seeing today is a different Trump than he was 5 days ago, which means a lot of his record, love him or hate him, we can't really hold him accountable to, because he has a whole new perspective on life now. And for any of us that have lost friends too soon, I think that hits home and very relative. And I've lost some very dear friends too soon to disease and to suicide, and bless their beautiful hearts and souls. But I think one of the aspects of this world, and this is a way different answer than you probably thought I was going to give, but one of the beautiful things of this world is that we always have the present moment, that we can always start making better decisions today. I used to teach a class on essential oils, and we would talk about the efficacy of essential oils, and in it we would contrast the harsh chemicals that we are constantly surrounded by. In my journey, it comes down to what we put on our skin and what we allow to be kept in the air around us, cleansing and detoxifying those environments. And inevitably, I would have parents in the audience, and afterwards they would come to me a complete wreck. Very emotional day for me today. I mean, a complete wreck in what they had been exposing their kids to and their families to unknowingly, by spraying 409, by using the hand sanitizer at every stop, by doing all these different things that are actually stripping and hurting the immune system and the neurotransmitters in the body. And I'd say, stop beating yourself up. You didn't know. Now you know. And today you can make better decisions for tomorrow. Your kids are going to be fine. And anything that is happening to them or suspecting to be happening to them because of what they did to their body can be cleansed, detoxified, remedied, and they can be set on a path. So stop beating yourself up. You didn't know. Now you know. And for a lot of people that are listening to this podcast and listening to you for a long time, every single day they're starting to make better decisions. And that, I think, is, again, in alignment with be kind to yourself and don't beat yourself up. Like, you didn't know what you didn't know. Now you know. Now you can make better decisions. And that's what life is all about. It's one series. That's what health is about. It's about one better decision day after day, trending in that right direction to optimal health.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question. I love the answer that I got. My typical answer is just nothing. You went a little bit deeper, I think, than a nothing response. And I like that kind of idea of learning the lessons earlier, not necessarily changing the timeline, but maybe getting to the point in the now sooner, but it's always a deep question. And I love some of the answers that I get from people on that. So Craig, this has been an awesome, interesting conversation. I know you mentioned it a bit here and there throughout, but let's just kind of bring it together. And then I'll also kind of include some links in the episode descriptions. But if our listeners want to connect with you or learn more about In Harmony or Vibro-Acoustic Therapy, how can they find you? What's the webpage? What's the social media?
So the easiest way to find me, I'm one of the easiest people to connect with on the internet. And I love this question. I thank you for bringing it back. Our website, I Am In Harmony. IAMINHAR, just as written behind. I am in harmony. Two most important words in the English language for me, I am, because anything you put after it, you are. So why not be in harmony with the world around you? We teach people how to relax through sound and vibration. And at the top of the website is my phone number. Quite literally, it's an 800 number with an extension. It rings this phone right here. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, go to our website, iaminharmony.com. By the way, that will trigger targeting and retargeting, and I will start showing up on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Google, YouTube, all of the things. We put out a ton of educational content. I want to teach, train, and show people how to live a healthier life using sound and vibration as a baseline for managing relaxation and stress. And I'm super grateful for the share. I'm super grateful for the depth of your questions and giving me an opportunity to chat with your audience and share a little bit about what we're doing. And I'm grateful. iaminharmony.com.
Great. Is there anything else we've missed? I mean, we've had a pretty deep, thorough conversation today, but I want to give you a chance if there's anything else that we've missed. I
love your podcast. I love the topic of aging well. I think the FDA is trying to make anti-aging and aging a disease, actually, so that they can manage all of the solutions around it. And I think aging well would be a great goal for everyone, whatever that looks like to you. And for some people, when they're in their teens, they're like, I just want to make it to 45. I'm now 45 and I feel better than I've ever felt. And now I'm looking to 150. Like, I'm not even having midlife crises. I'm like a third of the way through my life. And having that outlook and that vision, shout out to Dave Asprey, who's like, I'm going to live to be 180. And it's funny because I said I'm going to live to be 150 before I heard him say that. And then I heard him say it and I'm like, maybe I'm not shooting far enough. Shout out to this format and the ability for more exposure so that people can hear the stories of people and realize what maybe their limiting beliefs were and where they can stretch their goals, their aspirations, and their capabilities. Super honored to be here and very grateful.
Well, I'm 61 and I was targeting 110, but you've challenged me now. So I got to shoot for 150. Well, Craig, thanks for joining us. I've certainly learned a lot about mindfulness and how sound and vibration can add to our meditative practices. I just wish you all the best and keep aging well.
Indeed. Thank you, brother. And to you.
Thank you for listening. I hope you benefited from today's podcast. And until next time, keep aging well.